G'day and welcome back to Torment, Tides of Ranmenera. It's time once again to kind of explore around, pick up as many quests as we can. We've been trying to sort out loss of self, and so that by that I actually mean wayward prey, but we still need to find one more. Hey, I've got a negative fettle. Oh right, because of the even eyes.
I'm ready.
Right now we need to try. We should be trying to find as many people as possible to talk to and be charming to. Not going to talk to him just yet. But what's this? Synth panel lies flush with the ground. Just see nowhere to open it. Pack bundles. Okay, let's talk with the Silver Orphans for yet another little quest. Two silver humanoids stand near a small vehicle of indeterminate origin. Their skin is a reflective metallic sheen that makes them appear both part of and separate from the scenery around them. As you approach, both of them turn to face you. They have no mouths and their eyes are a fathomless black, reflecting nothing. A name for these creatures rises from memory. Silver Orphans. It may not be the name by which they know themselves, but it's the name used by the Order of Truth. The Silver Orphan turns to stare at each other for several moments, then the one on the right gestures at you in a complicated pattern. Minds of machines we seek. Know you any? Though you can't understand the gesture, you can hear their thoughts. Do you mean machine intelligences? Do they indeed? And what will become of those intelligences if they happen to be delivered? The Silver Orphans don't react to her words. They stare at you impassively as though they can't hear you at all. The one on the left kneels, using a foreshortened finger to trace lines and circles of the dust to your feet. Ripples radiate from a point. First a square, then a human eye, then an unrecognizable mass of interconnected dots. The Silver Orphan looks up at you, awaiting your reply. Any minds of machines that we may find, that which was lost. Let you know if I find any. So this is just like a thing that we can sell. Let's chat with the Memovira guard. A man in brigandine coat stands in front of the heavy wooden gate, his arms are crossed and his feet firmly planted. You got business with the Memovira? Who's the Memovira? She is the boss lady of the Bloom. She's been in charge for about 10 years. Couldn't tell you what the title means, but there's always been a Memovira. And if you had to ask her that question, you ain't got business with her. What's a Bloom exactly? It's a monster, stinking tumor the size of a city, full of veins and cysts and sacs that folk crawl around inside. Sometimes they'll lead to Morse. His sunken eyes gleam as he speaks a word. If you give them what they want to eat, they'll send you to another world. Or not, if they decide to feed on you instead. Didn't even want to open them all. Poor Resh. What's on the outside of the door? A road goes down the side of the cliff. Nobody gets by unless the boss lady says a word. Can you tell me anything about the Memovira? Nobody crosses her, not even the council. He waves a dismissive hand at passers-by. All these poor plotters are scared of her, and it means they're scared of me too. Go work for the Memovira, son. That's what my dad told me. You'll never be anyone in this life if folk ain't scared of you. Dad never told me about the Bloom, though. Wonder if he even knew. Okay. So you're from Sagus. Born in Cliff's Edge, house where I grew up, fell into the sea a couple of years back. Stayed to Stitcher, made the black 3 bugger him all with flaming pricks, he spits. Joined up with the Memovira and served 5 years in the Bloom. Gets in your head, the Bloom does. Whispers to you. Tells you to do things, maybe. His eyes gleam. When the boss lady found out, she sent me here. Threw my mate in a moor. Still can't remember why. Okay. Huh.
With alacrity.
So what else? We can chat with people down here, which we almost certainly will. Is there anyone else to talk to that we want to do things with? Let's chat with this Sylph fella. Oh no, Omadon. This robed man turns a golden bespectacled gaze and winning smile on you. He seems perfectly charming enough, but it's clear he wants something from you and is perfectly willing to take it, politely and with absolute guile, of course. At last, someone who looks as though they can see further than their nose. These Sagasites are as observant as rocks. He clasps his hands together, pleading, "Please tell me you've seen a beautiful girl with purple hair. Her name's Persia. She's my beloved, but she suffers from a madness that causes her to fear everything. She can't stop running from implied dangers, and I've been chasing her for years now, trying to catch her and cure her before she hurts herself. Imagine me, a danger to her. Why, I brought her back."
I'll remember that.
I have recently tracked her to Saga's Cliffs, but none of these blind fools can ever remember seeing her, even though I believe she stayed here for a time. He grips your arm. Let me give you a description so you'll know her. She's heartbreakingly beautiful, wears a winged hair comb that floats around her head, constantly changing the arrangement of her purple hair. If you can see or find word of her, return and tell me. My name's Omadon. I can be most generous. Can you give me more details of her appearance? As I said, hauntingly beautiful, purple hair that floats around her head, winged combs. Her speech may seem confused, but pay no attention to what she says. When she's returned to me, I'll be able to cure her. What caused her to go mad? He frowns. It is, I believe, some trauma associated with her birth or early life. I found it could be overcome with love, care, and certain medications, but even then, some lapses occur. It was during the last of these that Fasir vanished, and I've been on her trail ever since. I'm certain she'll see clearly since we're together. What sort of things does she say when she's raving? Almost anything, but one of the more persistent delusions is I'm her enemy. Nothing could be further than the truth. When she's in her right mind, she loves me as much as I love her, but when her madness is upon her, it's more painful than truth can say. I'd never heard. I must make her realize the truth. Simple, if I can find her. Well, how did you two meet? We were at the same grave in the Valley of Dead Heroes, mutual friend, and in sharing stories of our love for that friend, we found we were kindred spirits and decided we did not want to part when we left the valley. Odd a place of death could give birth to something so beautiful and undying. So much truth in their stories. Details are relevant where there's love. Tell us again how you met? Valley of Dead Heroes, same grave. Yeah. How do you hope to cure her? With love, mostly, but also with certain ancient techniques I've learned in my years of study for the cooling and untwisting of fevered and knotted minds. I'm confident that once I'm able to isolate her from the corrupting distractions of the world, I'll be able to restore her to her true self. You still seem very creepy.
Yes, child.
Alright, let's chat with Sylph here. This pretty young woman stands unnaturally still. Suddenly, her large glassy eyes spring to life with a rattle and quickly lock with yours, before just as quickly snapping away. Her skin, as fair as porcelain, is cracked beneath several layers of dirt and faded makeup, and on the side of her neck you see what appears to be a small tattoo of vertical lines with glyphs etched at the bottom. For a moment, familiarity overwhelms you, disappearing as a minute shudder runs down her arms. Her gaze snaps back to your face, but not to your own eyes. She's staring at your tattoo. Jerkily, her hand raises to touch her own. Well met. I am Sylph. You notice a slight pause before she pronounces her name. Her voice has a purring quality, under which you can hear the spinning of countless gears. She coughs just once, and a small greenish cloud emerges from her lips. How did you come by that mark? It's her. Try to remember where you've seen Sylph's tattoo before. You hear the echo of yourself and see in front of you a strange old man, gnarled by time and rabid with expectation. On his neck, weathered and sagging, you see the same series of vertical lines etched into his skin, a faded map to a time or place that no longer exists. An inadmissible period of time has elapsed without an answer. Conclusion. I'll rephrase the question. How did you come by those marks upon your skin? I'm a cast-off of the changing god. You hear an excited clicking, her eyes flutter closed briefly. I appreciate your honesty, she says, the manic working of gears sounding from within her chest. She regards you, head tilting to the side, with a series of small ratcheting noises. You have the absurd impression the emotion is meant to be flirtatious. I hope you'll answer one other question for me. Her voice takes on a more eloquent tone, deeper and richer than you've heard from her before. I wonder if you might have heard this old riddle before. She clears her throat and begins as if reciting from memory. What comes in with breath and out with a word, transmutes upon death but can't be conferred. The words sound vaguely familiar, resonating in your mind even after she's stopped speaking. Old, huh? That's what you've done for centuries. You told me. Let's try to remember where we heard the riddle before. You listen again, you feel the echo and weight of them moving in your mind. You see Sylph garbed in the robes of an Aeon priest, her face in shadow, but when the riddle comes, it's your voice, not hers, and the rhyme is different. It comes with the first breath and leaves with each word, transfigured by death unless it's conferred. In your mind, Sylph replies in a deeper melodious tone. Consciousness. It isn't until you surface from the memory that you find Sylph staring at you that you realize you spoke the word aloud. Well, Sylph sounds pleased, still speaking in that deeper voice. Perhaps you can be of use to me after all. There's one final question I would ask of you, she says, face and hands unusually still. Please answer to the best of your abilities. What would you do if you had met someone who succeeded at your life's work before you, and they refused to share their method? I would find my own method. Yet you've failed, haven't you? These cast-offs you make, each an imperfect shell, each an undying monument to your failure. She laughs at the look on your face. It's not a pleasant sight. And to think, all those years ago, you had the audacity to call yourself a god. Look at me. Look at this. She spreads her arms and turns in a circle, clearly intending you to see every angle of her body. This is the pinnacle of a lost civilization, she gloats, the voids behind her eyes replaced with fervent, furious madness. My perfect immortal vessel, and I'm the one who discovered it. Me! She spits bright green froth that lands in the dust between your feet. To your help. My methods are beyond your comprehension, and I'm going to make sure they stay that way. The light fades from her eyes as suddenly as it arrives. She blinks at you with chittering of decaying cogs, folding her hands in front of her and executing a small bow. I don't know what expired. Please accept my apologies. Let's try and examine her more closely to determine her origin. So this requires... so we get pretty good chances. But what about the others? So they've got more points they can spend, but actually, I mean, Callistige can get almost as much as we can. And we're not spending any effort on this. Hey, we succeeded! Excellent! You study her cracked porcelain skin, the way her joints are covered by the seams in her clothing, and what once must have been a remarkably pretty face. You recall a fragment of ancient Messene history, discovered by your sire in a place called the Whale of Baz. Automatons like Sylph were created in many different shapes to please their owners. No two alike, all handcrafted and unique. Only a few survivors were known to the machine mines of Baz, and those went for sale to the highest bidder. A sharp edge of disappointment. You recall walking away from Sylph when she was offered to you, passing a sneering man in dark robes who had already made an offer. His presence overwhelms the memory with a sudden understanding of who and what stands in front of you. Eden, an obsessive Aeon priest who made his personal mission to track the changing god to the ends of the world, searching for a way to transfer himself into vessels of his choosing. It seems he succeeded, at least partially, but one look at Sylph's decaying body tells you he has barely exchanged one prison from another, with no hope of salvation anytime soon. Eden, are you in there? She slowly blinks her eyes. One of them fails to reopen completely. I'm Sylph. Have you mistaken me for someone else? Eden, I know you're in there. Can you hear me? I am Sylph. The Aeon Priest's mind seems to have faded into the construct's subconsciousness. Who knows if it will emerge again? Farewell. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, good to know that the Changing God was not the only one that did these things. This man's brow is creased with worry. He avoids your gaze, his eyes fixed on a point to your left and far away. His trembling, battered fingers pluck at the air. He stares through the chattering customers, the bar, as though he is utterly alone. Stepping closer, you see a thick blue crease running down his throat into the depths of his heavy robes, and orderly rows of azure holes pierce his bony arms from elbow to wrist. Discord, he says as you approach. Scarred melody, too many voices. Hurts. His words stream out one by one in a subdued, continuous monotone, tumbling over each other as if in a blind rush to escape. Study the man. He does not meet your eyes as you step closer to examine him. Instead, he winces as though your presence is somehow painful to him. You watch him move and track the twitching of his fingertips. You hear a low, vibrating whistle, though it is not coming from his mouth. What are you doing here? Wayfarers bring me broken Numenera. I repair them for prey. I need to eat. He cries, and you don't think you're the target of his anger. The wayfarers thank me, he says, swallowing. They do not know I have remade their Numenera. They do not know they will also be remade. All be remade when the choir awakens. Can you remake any of my Numenera? Instead of asking to see your belongings, he looks at you for the first time. His pupils are as dark as the space between the stars. No, he says after a long moment. His eyes flick back to whatever distant, terrible place has so captured his attention. You're wounded, a broken instrument. He has no use for you. Didn't even look at my... What are you staring at? The grand hall, the spiral pinned by broken columns, the invisible roof. He stops with a gasp, and a tear rolls down his dirty cheek. You asked me not to share our secrets with you. You are not of the choir, you are discord. A cold wind rolls down from the rooftop, flicking at his tattered robes. Suddenly you hear something beneath the flute-like notes of the breeze over the holes in the man's skin. A dry, angry voice speaking the word Akar. Must not speak of Akar. Akar, what does that mean? You might as well slap the man. White with shock, he doubles over, clutching at his chest. Beneath the man's agony, you sense otherworldly indignation and ageless despair, deep as oceans. Great Akar was once the mightiest of cities, and it will rise once more when the choir awakens. His gaze meets yours. The conductor will reward your curiosity and allow me to tell you what I have seen. You need only ask. Okay, so what have you seen? Before my coming, I found a pit ringed by stone, deep in the Arvenwood, broken pillars at the edges. I stepped inside, breathed dusty air. He pauses, passing a shaking hand over his mouth. I was lost in the grand hall for days, decades, pillars twisting like hallways, spiraling, the ringing of bells, whirling chandeliers, listening to the song of the lost choir. I was an audience, becoming an instrument. Finally I slept and woke here, upon the heights. He took my voice, the man says, his eyes dull and distant. But my blood sings, I am becoming, I dream. I remake Numenera for wayfarers so they will become and dream. And together we will go into the forest, to the ring where the grand hall once stood, and rebuild. He falls silent, eyes wide and wet, as if dreaming of the city that lives in his mind. What do you think you're becoming? An instrument, he says, swaying. A doorway. Before I remade Numenera, now I wake and find devices the conductor has made for me. He is generous. Look, he says, smiling, pulling aside his robes to bare his bony chest. Countless devices are embedded in his flesh, looping bloodlessly in and out of his ribs, linked by tubes or wires to an opalescent sphere at the base of his throat. You study the blue crease, the subcutaneous cable leading up from the sphere into his skull. You suddenly recall seeing a similar device in your studies and understand what this one's meant to do. Soon this man will go to sleep. Something will wake in his place, in his body, a doorway indeed. Said you dream, what of? Proud Akar at its peak, he says, gaze locked on the distant ruins of the city. Instruments of metal and flesh ringing the balconies of the grand hall. The conductor, our air, breathing him in forever. Okay. That is creepy. Barkeep, what do you got? Nothing. Locals don't drink here. Yeah, but... Okay, so... Alright, so we've got nothing else kind of to do here.
You can do this.
We've got the dome, we've got Makina's place that we're going to get to eventually. We've got these plants and things. But we really don't have anything else to do here. So let's go down. Still need to figure out where the last loss of self thing is. Or go back into our mind and get ourselves killed. So go back into our mind and like have a fight. But I don't want to do a fight if I can avoid it. The other thing I want to do is get myself killed and taken to that place. Taken to the Dendroha. So let's see.
Them, it would surprise me. Are you sure you weren't also asleep?
Alright, so I know he could potentially kill me, but I need more speed to pass the initial check.
Dear. You're safe from me in every world.
Okay, yep, that's collapsed. Those are the kids. We've been down there, we haven't been over here, but you know. Heard that you can jump off a cliff in Sega's Cliffs, which I assume will be done in Cliff's Edge. But I can't see where you do that.
Go.
Come on, I said go. So go.
At last.
Nope. Alright, fine. Let's chat with Tamaz. Okay. You mentioned you have my call. That's not what it is. Not a fool, but you were born above the city, so I know you like it or not. This is your call, Tom from your birth. Name it what you will, but I know what it be. I want to ask you about someone in particular. Lord Vuntkin. Yeah, he's already left. Do we really want to do stuff? Why doesn't he like the Stitcher? I couldn't say. He doesn't seem to like him much. Can he be trusted or not? Yeah, cool. We can't fail.
My studies have
Whoops.
borne fruit.
He presses his lips together, eyes flicking between the distant Lord and you. Yokai blood on its mouth side. I'm not turning my back on a girl in trouble. I have no time for disgusting abhumans either. I'm not alone in that. If people knew what he was, it'd be the end of his politicking for sure. Okay. Questions about you? Can you tell me about the chains of beads you're holding? I make one for every child I deliver, made with wooden mother's blood, carved in the shape of their soul. Touching their beads tells me if they're well or not, and if they're not, some then need a mother's help. Sometimes I just witness birth, but I still carve a bead to mark the occasion, if I think the child's worth remembering. Why do you care about loss of self? Go on asking you foolish questions, but I know what's in your heart. You can't not care, same as me. It's what lines your spine and holds you upright. Aren't you worried your house will fall off the cliff? And if I am, where would I go? I was born in this house. Should I abandon it for a handful of self-serving rumors about Stitcher and rotting stone? Nay, I'll stay here. Should my home crumble, I'll hold it together with my fists. Why do people call you Mum? I've delivered every child of a mortal womb in Cliff's Edge, and some who were not. Do you have any kids of your own? Nay, none. Never have, in fact. The saying goes, all children in Cliff's Edge are two mothers, and that's better than having one of my own. Do you like living in Cliff's Edge? Still here, aren't I? Still like having my children all around me. Other questions? Nope. I don't have other questions I can ask.
You can do this.
Medelia Glittering. Let's have a chat with you. Then I think we might go to the pub. Hello, friend. Not a single rumble beneath my feet for hours, and I have you to thank. Her eyes crinkle at the edge as she smiles warmly at you. Now, she puts one hand on her hip and gestures to her table with another. I hope very much it was thought of my treasures that guided you. Which one has called you here today? How much more of the rodent globes? You mean Bay Boom Bow? She raises a hand and unconsciously pets one of the globes as it swings past her here. Tiny creature inside squeaks and scampers in a tight circle before the globe twists out of sight. What do you got for sale? Bladder. I mean, we sold her stuff earlier. This could be useful. I don't really want to bother with most of these other things, although that's kind of useful. And that it's active 3 rounds, so it's 3 lots of damage. Dazed, which I think makes it harder for them to get out of the way. And this is Sylph Cord, which would give us more stealth and more esoteric damage, but worse ranged weapons. We've only got 1 bonded artifact slot right now, but that'd be useful. Oh. Hopefully we won't get into fights, so it won't be relevant. But where can I go for loss of self? Well, what have we got? Been to the Fifth Eye Tavern. Still have no idea if you can even get across here and how after a surprising number of plays of the game. But I think we'll go to the pub.
Yes, now.
There's at least 1 quest I can pick up here that I've not got yet. Oh, there's 2. I can get Clarions. And I can do some other bits and pieces. Let's chat with Clarion. This young woman wears finely polished armor and paces back and forth restlessly on the walkway. Her long hair is lustrous and healthy, and her whole form exudes a wholesome vitality. When she sees you, she raises her voice in greeting. Welcome, friend, to the Fifth Eye. You come at an exciting time. I've been trying to convince some veteran warriors of their eminent suitability to join the endless battle. So far, they've rebuffed me, but perhaps you can succeed where I have failed. And you are? I'm Clarion. I seek strong warriors, brave souls, to fight in the endless battle, to hold back the advance of the enemy. What side are you recruiting for? The Changing Gods has always been the patron of Sega's Cliffs. Perhaps we would not exist if not for his lives and his cast-offs. Certainly we would not be as we are. But that's not the only reason. The Changing Gods' forces have allied with the towns and villages in the Vexillian Waste. We seek to prevent the endless battle from expanding beyond its borders, growing in size once again. The enemy has attempted to sweep across the plain before. They tricked the Changing Gods' allies centuries ago, destroyed an army of Sand Knights, and took half the settlements in the Waste. We will not let them do it again. And who is the enemy you're fighting? The armies of the first cast-off. They've never been friends of the people of Sega's Cliffs. The first cast-off is long dead, but still her forces hold a grudge against her sire and his patron city. Can you tell me anything about the veterans you hope to recruit? They fought in countless battles and emerged victorious. They made decisive forays that have turned entire wars. They are clever and thoughtful, and though I only know their reputation, the third inversion, for instance, saw them reach into a new dimension, and I won't bore you with the details, but they were integral in an offensive that would have changed the course of that conflict. Why are you trying to recruit these veterans? Maybe they're tired of war. Conflict shapes us all, and it sharpens us, makes us stronger than we ever thought we could be. If you hide from it, you'll never know what you might have become. Or worse, you'll be easy prey for those who are stronger or crueler than you. These veterans have grown tired and complacent. I want to help them recapture what they lost. No, I want to make them even greater than they were. Even if they become prey, it'll make whoever hunts them very strong. What can you tell me about the endless battle? Much as it sounds, it stemmed from the rift between the Changing God and his offspring and has endured for hundreds of years, raging over the same battlefields using the deadliest technology of the ancients. The landscape is scarred and pitted beyond recognition. The walls between dimensions are very thin there. Every day horrors cross into our world. She stands arms akimbo. Worse, in recent years, the struggle has expanded. Nearby settlements, founded to provide support for the combatants or existing there long before the two sides came to rage on their borders, have been engulfed by the spreading chaos. It is not too late to change the course of battle. If only warriors of proven mettle would join the fight. That's why I'm here. That's why I beg for your help. A glorious conflict. So many have grown stronger in its wake. Let's talk about conflict again. What is there to talk about? Challenge, response, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Overcoming weakness is the only way we grow strong. Do your muscles grow through disuse? Does your mind sharpen while staring at a wall? Life itself is conflict. Without conflict there is only stasis, or worse, decay. Will I get rewarded? Sure. I'm not a wealthy woman, but sure. Sounds good. Have we chatted with Almus? The Soul Keeper? Yes, we have, and we've chatted with Sig. So then, what happens if I go here?
Look out below! Above! Sideways!
Nothing yet? Okay.
At last!
Oh, Calistige is leveled. Let's level Calistige, and then next time. Alright, so she literally has to take extra effort, and now we've got the next two levels, which means Esoteric Knowledge, boost on all lore tasks, not bad, and she's got an extra combat ability. Now we can pick two other things, so we can grab Data Sphere Link, which gives her a boost in all lore skills, which is probably what I will do. The other option is to get Flash or Entropic Field, which are combat powers. And so Flash is an area of effect damage, area of effect attack, and Entropic Field is a buff. Let's do the Flash. Yeah, cool. Because we may get into a fight here, but I mean, in general, we're going to want to get more skills. More skills.
No evidence for your gods, child. But if they make it easier for you to navigate this world...
Your sisters. Could you always see them?
No. It was the attractor that opened my mind.
Whatever makes it easier for you to navigate this world.
Nice. Nice response. Alrighty. Well, next time around, I guess we'll talk to more people at the pub, have a drink, and I think take on Malaise. Why not? Because I'm a little stumped at loss of self. So, until then, have a great day. Bye. Just in case you need it. Just in case you need it.